Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, welcome to another episode of Unboxing Nostalgia. If you don't know, these are the videos where we look at retro stuff, mainly Spectrum tapes from days of old that I've brought for my collection. And you know what, there's a couple of other things in this video thrown in. Let me explain a little bit more. You know, you can see I'm rebuilding the world around me. You know, this is a new background. Previously we used to have a green screen. Things like this Rubik's Cube sat basically up there, over there, and you may have not seen it before, you may have seen it before, but then you get other little things like this Space Invader that I found on eBay when I was having a look for a couple of unique things, and you've got another one that's just up here as well that can go back on the shelf. But I found some things that I've completely forgotten about my childhood, and it sent me on a new journey. But enough of that, you'll see what I'm talking about as we continue on this video. So here we are. This is the Gentleman's Books Club, as you know. Thank you for watching this video. If you haven't subscribed, maybe today I will earn your subscription, which helps that little clock just above my finger that has a subscriber number go up just a little bit more. We're a completely free channel, we're completely unmonetized or anything like that. So what we do is purely for the love of gaming. So I'm wearing a Magic Knight t-shirt here, and this is from, you know, this Kickstarter that I backed. So this is probably the first thing that we need to be unboxing. There you go, you can see it here and here, but no, it comes in a glorious looking box for Magic Knight, the 40th anniversary collection, and we can open it up and we see we got 4 games here. We'll just tip those out and have a look to show you what you've got. But the real story isn't so much in these games. You know, you've got all these versions that you see here. What it is on the tapes. Look how damn good these tapes look. You know, they look absolutely gorgeous. Let's have it the right way around for the camera, but they look absolutely gorgeous. You know, this is Finders Keepers that we can see here. You've got the Spellbound tape, you've got the Nighttime tape, and you've got the Stormbringer tape. You know, the quality of what we see these days far suppresses what we had back in the day. Obviously, new technologies, new way of doing things have moved on, but this is the Kickstarter for Magic Knight. Very happy with this. Very happy with this. Alright, we're probably actually going to work on the box sets for the moment, because those are the things that take up the most room, and then we'll go to the individual things. So when I went to Crash Live, and this video should have probably come out in November, but I had a few more things that I needed to get, and I was in a position where actually, you know, now I've got everything. Nothing is waiting on eBay or anything like that, so we can really do all of this. You know, we get these little lovely slip cases that you get for Midnight Brew, and this is the Space Invaders cassette that we've got here. You know, this was a great version of Space Invaders for the Spectrum, ZX Spectrum. It was really good. I'm sure we've played that one on the channel. His cassettes look pretty much like this, where you just have effectively the Space Invaders that you can see there. There is a little misprint on here though. Is it on here? No, it's on the slipcase. Space Invaders ST. Look, they added a little T on there. I don't know why they did that. So we're just going to work quickly through these and just show you all of these cases that we've got here. You know, this one here is Lock and Chase. You know, again, very pretty. The cassettes will always remain the same, but this will go into my catalogue. You know, there is a Spectrum video that I've done of all the properties that I have, all the cassettes that I've got, so I've got to do it for each and every one of these. This game here, I have no idea how to pronounce. Which World Havoc Tour? You know, I really don't know. That will go in its slipcase before I will be put that tongue twister away. And then we got Golf. You know, this is a great version of Golf on the ZX Spectrum, and doesn't that look fine? Doesn't that look fine? And this is for 128k only. This, you know, you've got to keep your eyes on people like Midnight Brew, and I'll throw Northern Games into that statement as well in terms of the great quality. And this is Frogger RX, the great quality things that you can buy, that you should buy if you're a collector, because, you know, some of these things are in very limited supply. You know, it's not thousands of them are never made. You know, it really isn't that many. I can't even get these back in the case. There you go. And they live in their little case, and we'll just pop that to the side, out the way down there for the moment. Alright, we've got another one to go through. Yeah, so the limited supply of what you have for these, you know, you miss out on a lot if you don't keep your eyes on what's going on. You really don't. So, you know, we've got another few here. We'll quickly open up all of these to show you what they are, but this is coming quite a set. If you've been going to the Crash events, you know, there is a lot of these now. So this is Cubanoid. Look at that. Doesn't that look smart? Honestly, that is some great art that you've got on there. That really looks good. And again, all the cassettes, you know, have the same label, but these slip cases are a little bit different, where you've got this little bar, because they are from the YRGB competition of 2025. So I'm going to put them back as we go here. This is Cindy Block. We have played this on the channel as well. You know, very plain looking cover, but great looking game, interesting looking game. And I did all right on that. I actually did all right on that. And then we've got this one that I actually played on the channel as well. This is Cubics. You know, this is a technical marvel that you've got. It's an absolute technical marvel that you have that's been created on here. Very hard game, but brilliant in the 3D graphics and the atmosphere that it's got. You know, I do highly recommend that game. And you know, even if you can't get hold of these sets, but as I say, look at Midnight Brew on Facebook, look at Northern Games on Facebook for unique stuff. You know, it's well worth doing. And then we got Travel Unlimited. You know, again, lovely looking cassette. You know, this is just purely for collecting only. You know, this is where you get the new old stuff. And then we've got a Cemetery. You know, again, another great looking cover. I actually don't know what this game is all about. I'll have to have a look at that. But yeah, a Cemetery. And you know, that is it. That is it for the box set. So we have got them out of the way. And not that I wanted to get them out of the way, but you know what, those are in and out boxes, so these are probably the most frustrating ones to do because you've got to get everything sorted. Alright, what should we do next? Well, this has been a great collection, or great update to the collection since I last did one of these videos. You know, I've got a couple of things that were on my wanted list, so you know, I'm really pleased with that. And one of the things that wasn't on my wanted list though was this game, Daley Thompson's Decathlon. And I didn't actually have the Hit Squad version, but sometimes you've got to buy packages of 2 or 3 games to actually get what you want. Even though we have just played Daley Thompson's Decathlon on the channel, a 2010 version where a couple of bugs and changes have been made to it. No, I never owned the Hit Squad one. I absolutely do now. The Hit Squad games are always very bright and nice looking, so that will go in the pile to be archived and looked after. I found this. This is Deathwake by Quicksilver. You know, I was surprised. I was absolutely surprised that I did not have this. You know, and this is one of the clamshell cases that you've got here. No idea what the game is. You know, it looks like it's about boats and stuff like this. As a commander of the Undaunted, it's not going to be an easy day for you. Well, nothing is ever an easy day on Sinclair Spectrum games in terms of, you know, things have gone wrong and you have generally got to fix them. Alright, that will go over there. And we got the last clamshell one of all the pile of things we got here. And this is Zaxxon. This was a shock. I was shocked to the core. I did not know. I did not have this game. You've got, I think it was Tapper and Spy Hunter that came in similar cases, but how I missed out on this, I don't know. It's a game that I'm not particularly good at. Even the arcade game I'm not particularly good at, but this one was missing. But no, I'm happy to have this. You know, it was always a bit of a pain where, you know, you look very closely here. Look at that picture of Zaxxon there. You know, and was it Tapper? Yeah, Tapper, Spy Hunter. Oh, Up and Down and Buck Rogers. Up and Down. I don't know whether they did that on the Spectrum. But yeah, you get these great graphics. And then when you get it home and you put it up, it's, that doesn't look the same as that. I always remember being a little bit disappointed in Spy Hunter when I first did that, when I first saw it. Alright, so we've got this. This is a little puzzle. So I was looking for a barrel type puzzle, you know, like not the Rubik's Cube, but the barrel that I had back in the day. And this is something that I found a little bit different to the one that I had, but this is Smarties. Only Smarties have the answer. So yeah, a little bit of a retro puzzle here. You know, that may go on the shelf, it may go on the box. I can solve these ones. I believe I can solve these ones. I hope I can. But you know, we will see. But there's a couple more of those within the boxes that we had, because you weren't buying one, you had to buy a few things. But some of those were also stuff that I had in the past that I'd completely forgotten about. But you're here for the Spectrum games as well. So this is the halls of the things, and some of you will be thinking you've got that already, and it actually came with another game. So I actually bought something else, I can't remember what it was, and this was with it as well. So yeah, this wasn't a mistake buy, but this is one of the more expensive Firebird titles you get on the re-releases. So yeah, I'll take that and I'll catalogue that one, so we'll have a second version of that. Always sometimes worth having second versions of some things. So this is what I would consider rubbish. You know, this is Advanced Soccer Simulator on the Spectrum. Obviously, all of this is the Spectrum, and it's from Mastertronic here. You know, there were so many soccer type games and stuff like that. Does this one really appeal to me? No, but it was part of a collection, part of a group. So yeah, we'll just have this. I think that this was it. It might have been in the same group as Daley. Maybe Daley had 3 games, but this wasn't one that I was actually looking for. But we found it. And then we also got Frank Bruno's World of Boxing, the commemorative issue, Bruno versus Tyson. So obviously Frank Bruno at one point fought Mike Tyson, and although Mike Tyson isn't in this game, and those are certainly not Spectrum graphics, so we're having a look at that, Mike Tyson wasn't in the game. This was a re-release by Incore to commemorate that fight that happened. And boring fact for you, I won a bet years ago, and it wasn't a bet, it was a lucky draw where it was a sweepstake on what round would the fight end, and I believe it ended on round 5, and I won a sweepstake in the company that I worked for all those years ago. My god, that's many years ago, and why is that coming to my mind now? I truly don't know. So at Crash Live, you know, I got this and I did a donation to charity for this, and you know, this is thanks to the Spectrum show, and this is the Digital Pioneer Spirit, Thomas A. Christie, and it's all about Mel Croucher and the home microcomputer. And if we just open it up just a little bit here, you know, there is a signature here by the author of this as well. You know, I was so pleased to get this. Paul, again, if you're watching this, thank you for your support in allowing this to happen. I'm a true collector of automator type games. You know, they have been a bugbear in my life, but you know, I would have been so upset if I didn't get that, because that was actually a prize that you could win. But I approached them and said, look, you know, I really want this. You know, I will make a good donation, and a conversation piece happened. And Paul, you're a gentleman. Thank you very much. So I also got this. Now, I don't know whether I've shown this before, but it's certainly been on my pile of things. So this is O. We've played this on the channel, and it does count because it's a Spectrum Next game, and it's a brilliant game. It is a truly brilliant game. You know, I highly recommend, if you're a fan of the Spectrum Next, and if you've backed the new Spectrum Next that are coming out, you know, there's standard one and the Magneto one, get yourself this game. This game has got to be played. It really showcases the brilliance of the system. So, looking around on eBay, I found this Karnov. I didn't own this game, and I got this for a very decent price. In fact, a lot of this I got for a very decent price. I believe in the recent months, few weeks, people have been breaking up collections, or some people have basically replacing their own items in their collections with slightly better ones. And I can give an example of a damaged cassette that I've got here, which I didn't notice when I bought it, but I never had it before. But yeah, no, these are stuff that I never had, and I saw, and I got for what I considered to be a good price. And if you're paying a good price and it adds a little bit more to the collection, why not? You know, it's always worth having a little pot of money that you could put by to spend on things like this if you choose to want to. So here is another puzzle. So this is another barrel puzzle, but this one is a little bit longer. It looks very similar to the Sparty people, but not this. So I was trying to get a barrel puzzle from when I was a kid years and years ago, and I couldn't find the exact one I've got, but yeah, this one seems to work. It seems to be a little bit crooked when you hold it up as well. You know, if you can see the base of it, if I put it in my hand, actually it doesn't really show. Let's try and do it that way. Yeah, this base seems off a little bit crooked, but it looks like it's actually molded that way. Anyway, never mind. We're not going to talk about molding of puzzles and stuff like that for the past, because we have got more things to have a look at. Alright, what else have we got? So we've got Football Manager, the right way up. Now you might be thinking, why more Football Managers? Well, I collect as many versions of Football Managers that I can that are not in big box cases. You know, I can't stand the big boxes. That's the one thing I generally stay away from on my Unboxing Nostalgia. And it's another version. But when I was at Crash Live, I met Kevin Toms, and I said, how many versions of this did you do? Because this is the umpteenth version I've got that. And I asked him, did you do one with basically a back and front cover? He must think I'm absolutely insane. But as a collector, these are important things for me, because I found this on eBay as well. Another version of Football Manager, and usually on these single cassettes, the other single, if I've got 2 other single cassettes of this, maybe 3, some early release ones as well, but the other single cassette has 48K Spectrum as well. But notice that this one doesn't, and this was what I was asking him about. Anyway, I won it on eBay, and then I noticed when we got home that it actually has Prism Leisure there, so that's got Prism Leisure on the bottom there. So that tells me that this was sold by a different company. You know, when you open it up, you've also got, you know, software distributed electronically here. I've seen this before as well. So I think Prism Leisure, you know, did something slightly different with this. But hey ho, it's another version, and I'm happy with it. We've got 2 more Football Managers the catalogue, 2 more. Alright, so we've got this Strike Force Cobra. This is from Piranha. You know, I don't really remember this game, but you know, it was a good price. It was a good price. You had the instructions obviously on the back of the cassette there. You've got the cassette here as well. So, you know, I do check these cassettes when I get them. This is another one though, no real meaning for me or no real member berries or anything like that. But yeah, it adds to the collection because it was a good, reasonable price. I bought this at Crash, Captain Squarejaw and the Treasure Temple Rampage. I haven't played it yet, but it does look quite pretty on the back, doesn't it? We'll have to get that at some point. You know, don't know how good it's going to be, but you know, we will see. We will see. Captain Squarejaw and the Temple Treasure Rampage. And when you open these up, you always get these lovely, like, ultimate type booklet things here, and the SD card as well. Now, another next game, ZX Harrier. I have played this on the channel. We have played this on the channel. You know, I've got to say that yeah, it seems a slightly poorer quality inlay that you've got here. It looks a little bit faded, but they were all like that. You know, I guess it's how they print. But you know, again, you look at the instructions, and they're actually very good when you look in. So you know, I think it is the colour. I suppose I'm looking for a bit more brighter stuff, expected more brighter stuff. But no, this is ZX Harrier. That's absolutely fine. And we've got another couple more Spectrum Next games. We'll get to them in a minute. We have this, and you may be thinking, what the blazes is this? Well, this was in a bundle of blank cassettes that I bought. And why did I buy them? When you collect things, you know, when you collect games, you buy games, you collect them, you build them up, you find yourselves in positions where sometimes the cassettes, you know, they've been swapped around so much over the years that you need a clear, transparent one, sometimes with like the cross heads on the back, and by the back, I mean these little nodule bits here. You can't really see it. Yes, you can if I get the angle right. Yep, these little nodule bits here, they could be crossed, they could be flat, they could be absent, because you don't want to damage the inlay. And stupidly, I was done, and I threw away pretty much everything that I didn't need anymore in terms of empty blank cassettes and stuff like that. So I needed a few more. So I brought them, and there was this blank cassette in here, and I do kind of collect those. I've got a few variations of these. I've got a Mastertronic one as well. So you know, it's just a silly little thing for remembering the past a little bit. We've got this puzzle here. So this was one that I didn't even look for, but I remember having as a kid. You know, and yeah, it's very, very unique. It's this sort of ball thing that you've got that you can turn, and you've got to get all the colours in the right order. Come on, turn it. It was always a bit fiddly to do. There you go. And these are very years old. So you've got this ring here. You've then got this ring here and this ring here. So yeah, I saw this amongst all the collections of stuff that I was looking up for. Oh yes, I've got to have that. You've got to have all the beads lined up perfectly to be able to do a turn. Otherwise, it doesn't do it. So yes, this is called Orbit, and I got myself an Orbit. We'll put that to one side. Alright. Daggers in Space Detour. This game carries on from where the original left off. I completely missed this when it became available, and at Crash Live I was able to pick this up from the Techno Shed stand. So yeah, very, very pleased to get this as well. Yeah, this was I was a little bit annoyed by missing this, but yeah, I've got this as well. Again, usual very nice glossy inlay, SD card with the little label on it as well. You know, the Spectrum games do look really, really good when you open them up. Yeah, the only distribution for them is SD cards, so yeah, they're worth having. All right, so we have got Chicken Chase. All right, I hadn't had a KFC when I thought about this, but it was a case of hang on a minute, I haven't seen this, and it wasn't that expensive on eBay, so yeah, I went for this. I got this. These are clearly not a Spectrum screenshot that you see there, but yes, Chicken Chase game I've never played. We might do it on the channel, but for the moment that just adds and builds to the collection. We got Bismarck, and this is a Wargamers series here, and this is basically a battle type game. You've got, you know, open it up, you've got the cassette, you've got the instructions as well. Would I play it? I don't know. This is probably just one for the archives, but again, a very, very reasonable price. You know, if things are priced reasonably, you don't mind spending a little bit of money on them. Well, this is the final Spectrum Next game that we've actually got, and this is Treasure Hunters. So this one here, is this the one? Yeah. This one basically comes from the Russian Federation in 2021. And yeah, looks quite good. It reminds me of sort of platform type game here. Never ever played it before. You know, open it up, no instructions here, but you do have the SD card. We'll have to give that a go again at some point in the future. Alright, what shall we do next? What shall we do next? I got the choices. Alright, we will do this. We're just going to work down the pile. So I have no idea how to pronounce this. This is an Activision game here. You know, it looks like some kind of war thing here. Here you are, Gunda Canal. I really don't know. But this is one of the ones that I'd never seen before. You know, in the later release of the Spectrum, in the eve of the Sinclair Spectrum, this came out, and you always know that because you got the 128K logo there. You know, not everything was always 48K. You know, they did improve a lot of the games. We've got Street Talk. Now, some of you may be thinking, why do you want that? Why would you want that piece of rubbish? And indeed, it wasn't a great game at all. But I only have the small cassette version of that. And this is a problem when you suffer from OCD. You end up thinking, oh, I haven't got the big one of that. I need to get this. So yeah, I've now got all versions of this. This one wasn't so cheap. I think I spent £25 on that. Alright, so last time we did this, I think I pissed and moaned about this game here, about having an auction cancelled on me. And this is Arkanoid. I actually managed to get this, and look, it's all there. It looks very nice. So this is Arkanoid on the Sinclair Spectrum, and I was really pleased when I won it, but there's more. Within a couple of days of winning this, and I had no idea this had a Sinclair Spectrum release, this one popped up on eBay as well, and this was a magnificently good price, much better than this. So yeah, I then had to go for this one, and I won it, and yeah, it was all. Here we go. Yeah, you got the game in there as well. But yeah, you know, I have now got both Arkanoids. One Arkanoid I didn't even know existed. So yeah, this completed a two-part collection, because you can bet your bottom dollar that I would have noticed that at some point I didn't have this when I was cataloguing this. It'd be, oh balls, another one to go and find. Another one to go and find. But no, not now. Alright, we're going to go through all the double cassettes. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 left to do. We've got Last Duel. This game here is an arcade game of conversion here. And yeah, you can see, obviously, not Spectrum graphics for most of the ones that you've got here. But it doesn't matter. At this stage of the Spectrum, we knew what we were getting. We knew that we would generally have monochrome graphics. But hey ho, that is what it is. It is what it is. We have then got Retrun Mania. Now, I saw this is by Alligator, and is it by Superior Software? I really don't know. Alligator, you know, they did Son of Blagger and stuff like that, and there was a lot of assets in there that I truly believe belonged in Manic Miner on how they look, but hey ho, you know, I could be wrong about that. But yeah, this is Retrun Mania. Got this, another one for the collection, and it gives you 2 complete games as well. So we've got Retrun 1 and we've got Retrun 2. Alright, we have 3D Pool from the late great Archer McLean. I would have been playing this, I think, on the Atari ST or the Amiga at the time that this came out. But you know, it's an incredible game. You know, it was a brilliant game, at least on those platforms here, and I'm sure it was replicated very much on this as well. But look, screenshots may vary. Yes. What platforms are they going to be on? I don't know. But it doesn't really matter, because, you know, on the Sinclair Spectrum, if you're playing a game like that, you could just pretend you were watching it on a black and white TV. Alright, we have got Wizard Wars. This is from Go. I don't have many games from the company called Go here. And just looking at the back, you know, no idea what it is. It is an adventure? I don't know. It looks like an adventure with what you see here in terms of those bits there, but yeah, this bit here, you know, maybe like Lords of Midnight where you can move around and stuff like that, but I really don't know. And that's the thing, when you're only spending a few quid on each one, you could take a little pot, you could take a little bit of risk. Alright, so this is Ramparts. Again, another good game, another one on Go as well. So yeah, I don't know whether Go was part of US Gold or anything like that at some point. I truly don't, and I'm not even sure what Ramparts is. You know, is it a version of Rampage? Who knows? And then finally, I said to you about damaged cassettes. Well, this one here, I thought that this was actually damaged, that circle there on the actual cassette case that you have here, but no, it's actually on the label. So you know, this is a burner type 1, Blood Brothers from Gremlin. Had never even heard of it before. It was so cheap, I thought, yeah, let's go for this, and you know, I got it. But that was something that I completely missed. Well, I smashed it against the pole there as I moved it. Will I look at replacing that? I don't know. I don't really care about that too much. All right, what do we got? We have got World Soccer. So this is by Zeppelin Games. This was a purchase, a deliberate one, even though it was a soccer game, which was going to probably be more rubbish because there were so many of these as well. But I always do like the Zeppelin covers. Oops. So Zeppelin also did a nice Death Chase cover as well on the version that they've got there. So yeah, I like the covers, and this is very much like the CSS games or CCS games that I buy as well. You know, you once in a while go just purely for the cover. Alright, so moving on to the puzzles. You know, this was one that I was after. Do you know what this is? This is a snake, and this was a great puzzle that you could pull apart, and you could basically build your snake and do all kinds of different things with it as you turned it around. You know, this is in great condition. You know, I don't even know whether it's actually yellowed. It might have been brown by the looks of this, but it's certainly in its original box that you've got. And this was the one that I had as a kid. So yeah, very pleased to have this. And it was, you know, I remember this sort of big round plastic container. You know, I remember that, you know, and it's like the member berry stuff. In fact, we'll just do the last couple of puzzles as well. I had this as well. Had this as a kid, and this was a very strange puzzle where you could basically convert that style thing into this. So, you know, it's basically, you know, like a fidget cube. You know, it's what I would consider what a fidget cube would be today, and it gives you a couple of versions of that. I think this one was probably red inside. Let's just check. Yep, there you go. That was red inside. But they wanted to go here on the cube there, so it looks very nice. So they could sell to small children. So yep, that one as well. And then the final one, another barrel one here. This wasn't one that I was after, but it was part of the collections that were there. So yes, people liked their barrel cubes, their barrel puzzles that you've got. I don't know whether I could actually do this one, because this might have 6. No, it's still 5, yeah. No, that would probably be quite doable. But yeah, we'll have a look at that maybe in the future, because this channel isn't about puzzles. But, you know, I thought we could just include them for a little bit of difference. Moving on. We've got the Island from Crystal. I've got no idea what this is. I've got no idea. There's no screenshot or anything like that. It's obviously the standard cassette that you get with the blacked out backgrounds here. But I've got pretty much most of their games here. So that was one that I absolutely had to have. We had to add it when I saw it. We've got Beachhead. So this is a version from Americana Software here. Didn't know it was there. And we actually managed to get the other one, Beachhead 2, which is somewhere in this pole that I've got over here. So yeah, very pleased with that. Very pleased with that. We did it. We got the biz. So this is from Virgin. This is the pop star, like Rockstar Ate My Hamster, but you know, it's their version of it as well. But yeah, we got this, and you know, it hasn't been rewound, the buggers. Yeah, very pleased to have this. And this one had a real life hit single on the back. It's probably not going to be very good, but it doesn't matter. They made an effort. There was an attempt to do this. We have got Muggins, the Spaceman. You know, I'll pick up these odd Firebird ones, like the chicken one that you saw as well, when you're in a world where you haven't got them. They don't cost very much money. So yeah, this is added to the collection. No idea what it is, but we build it. And sometimes when I actually add these in and I do the rest of the work, you know, to catalogue all of the photos and all the other bits and pieces, you know, I'll have a close look at it and I'll think, you know what, that could be something we could do on the channel. We have Robber. Now, there is 2 more of these style of cassettes, I believe. I've got one more in the pile that we haven't seen yet, but this was one that I didn't have from Virgin Games. I've got a search set up on eBay so I could like find things like this. It does a whole load of filtering, and yeah, when this popped up, it was, yep, gotta have that. Some games I collect purely for the look of the cassettes, and I want to try and get them all. That would fall into one of them. We have got another one like the Island, where this is Bug Blaster. I had no idea that this game even existed, but you know, isn't it good? Debenhams, £5.95. I love it when you get the old original labels on as well. Another one from Crystal. Again, no idea what this is, but it builds the collection. It adds to the bits and pieces that we have. We have got Magic Land Dizzy. I think this is the only one that I didn't have. I'm sure I've made a statement in the past that, yeah, I've got all of those. I don't like the Dizzy games that much. But when looking, it's, I didn't have it. I can't remember what made me search for it. I think it was when I made the statement. I was doing the catalogue saying, yeah, I've got them all. And then, well, I don't have it. Well, I do have it now. The next one was a deliberate purchase, even though I have it already. Ski Star 2000. And I wasn't buying it to stop other people doing it. You know, this is a great game, and this was one of my really valued games. It's not that expensive to get, and this one was dirt cheap. But I thought, let's put a bid in, and it actually snuck through on one. So I've got another copy of this. You know, some games that are really meaningful to me, I will have more than one copy. So I said there was two games. That I basically wanted to get that was on my list, and lo and behold, I've got another one of them. This is Airbrush. So this is usually notoriously high in the price for what it is, but I've got one here that's got the BBC Model B and the 16 or 48k Spectrum there. So yeah, this one knocks around on eBay for usually sort of 30-40 quid, and it is not worth that money in my opinion. It truly isn't. But now this is now in my collection, so another one off the list. We have Indoor Soccer, another soccer game, another bloody soccer game. This was part of a bundle. You'll notice that I get a few of these indoor soccer type games and stuff like this, but I didn't have it. So you know what, I'm not going to bid it. I'm just going to add it to the collection because it means nothing to me. It means absolutely nothing to me. And here we are, another one, the official FA Cup football from Ricochet Mastertronic. You know, it looks like I collect bloody football games, and look at that. Are those Spectrum graphics we see there? I'm not 100% sure about that, but nah, don't really care about it. But this is one of the flippy ones that's on the Spectrum and the Amstrad, so you get double the fun if you own both computers. Finally, we have Yogi's Great Escape, and by finally, we're on to the last pile now. Alright, so yeah, this is a high-tech one. Did I bid for this? I don't know. I don't know if I really collect the high-tech ones. I think they did a lot of Spy vs Spy and Hong Kong Phooey type things, but I can't really remember too much. We'll assume I did. Alright, this one is something really special. This is the quest for the Golden Egg Cup, and this comes from Northern Games. And, you know, it's a great thing. You know, this means a lot to me as well. And this has the most glorious looking cassette you can actually imagine. Look at that. That is absolutely fabulous. And then on the back, we've got the second game, Pie Weekly Quest as well. Now, this has sold out. This basically went up and sold pretty much straight away. And you know, there's not many copies. This was certainly a limited run that you had here. And my recommendation is, if you are a collector of cassettes and stuff like this, you need to really be on Northern Games' Facebook page. You need to be on Midnight Brew's Facebook pages as well, because you know, both of them do lovely collections. But Northern Games, some of the stuff they do is really special and really good and very unique. We have got Dark Star from Firebird. You know, this was a Crystal game. Actually, Crystal became Design, I believe. But yeah, this is Dark Star that they did here. I'm sure it was them that did this. I hope it's them that did this. Otherwise, I've completely got this segment wrong. This I did not know existed. And I was so pleased to get this rather cheap as well. You know, you could be really lucky at times. Now, one of the best games, almost the best game on the Amstrad system is Sorcery. When I found Robber, you know, I did a quick count to have a look, and I can't remember what one of the games was, but one was Sorcery, and I thought Sorcery is going to be a pain in the ass to find. And lo and behold, I found it. I did not find this on my filtered down search where it basically just lists Virgin type games and stuff like this. No, I found this in a games bundle. So, you know, I do look at the games bundles once in a while, and this was sat in it. And, you know, I would have thought that this would have been a real friggin' expensive one to get. But no, I got that for a good price. We have Strangle-Loop. So this is one that I actually thought I had. It's another Virgin one, different kind of style set, but I thought I had this, and I was shocked to the core yet again to find that I didn't have it. These must be things that I look at eBay once in a while thinking, yeah, I've got that. But you know what? I've got like 2,000 odd cassettes, so I can't remember everyone. But no, this one here, I certainly do have now. We got 1, 2, 3. We got 6 more to have a look at. So we have Everyone's a Wally from Alternative Software here. I love the Microgen games and stuff like this. You know, this one here is Sinclair Spectrum graphics on the back, I believe. Yes, they better well be. I hope they are. Maybe they're Commodore. Oh my god, they might be bloody Commodore ones. But no, yeah, Everyone's a Wally. Got that. Very, very pleased with this. I think I've got all the versions of this now. We then had something called The Master. I have no idea what this is. It might be an adventure game. You know, let's look on the back here. It's from Arctic Computing in 1986. That's why I went for it. Yes, so Arctic Computing was still around, but I've got no idea what the hell that is. Now, we've got Pneumatic Hammers, another one from Firebird. So, you know, in this unboxing nostalgia, we've now got 3. We've now got 3 that basically were part of those. You know, we got this. In fact, we got more than that. Yeah, but this was one that I just saw and went for. Yeah, what the hell. Now, this one here needs a little bit of help. The case is bust, but I got some spare cases. This is one of the ones I did not have from Software Projects. This is Orion. You know, inside it's okay, but the case is just falling apart. So, you know, we'll carefully put that there. We will heal that later on. We have got Beachhead 2. So this is another one from the Americana Software stuff. This is really nice packaging that they have here. Bit flimsy, the labels in terms of inside. You know, look at this. It doesn't even make it to the end. You know, and it's not cut badly. It's just shorts. And you can see that they've got the holes lined up there. So has this got holes? No, listen. If it did, they would be lined up there. But no, that's really, really poor. But yes, we've got Beachhead 2 from Americana Software. But I do think these labels look really, really nice. And the final one we've got is Game Over from Summit. You know, this is the one that had the real poster that upset a lot of magazines and stuff like that, where you had logos go across here for some reasons. But yeah, Summit, they repackaged Hijack as well. But yeah, happy to get that. But that brings us to the end of Unboxing Nostalgia. So I hope you've enjoyed the video. Yeah, this is a case of me just showcasing the things that we buy. It will be at least another couple of months before I do another one of these, because you know what, so much has been shown already, so much has been shown, and I've got nothing else to show, nothing else that I brought or anything like that. But I'm going to continue building the background. I hope you enjoyed yesterday's video if you watch it. I've got no idea what it is because Sunday's video hasn't been recorded yet, but this is a release for Monday, this Unboxing Nostalgia, because Monday is generally a bit of a slower day. Thank you to all of you for viewing this video. Stay safe, take care, and I'll see you soon. Goodbye.
Gentlemen, P is for Pixel, C is for Club. At the Gentleman's Pixel Club, we play old school games, no need to rule. With sunglasses on, we dive into retro fun. Masters of nostalgia, our joy never gets undone. G is for Gentlemen, P is for Pixel, C is for Club. The GPC brings us together every single video. Subscribe now and join the club, let's have some fun. Gentlemen of gaming, you know ladies, welcome to Pixelated Fun. Remember when we had Commodore and Atari too? Those were the days, we loved them like a brother and you. From Pac-Man to Space Invaders, we played all night long. Gentlemen's Pixel Club reminds us of those times when life was just right. G is for Gentlemen, P is for Pixel, C is for Club. The GPC brings us together every single video. Subscribe now and join the club, let's have some fun. Gentlemen of gaming and the ladies too, retro fun never done. Through the years, the games may change, but the spirit stays the same. Gentlemen's Pixel Club is where we gather our hearts in a gang. Sunglasses on, we're ready to play. Gentlemen's Pixel Club, the ultimate gaming channel, always in play. G is for Gentlemen, P is for Pixel, C is the Club. The GPC brings us together every single video. Subscribe now and join the club, let's have some fun. And with Have you seen the video? Subscribe lang, join the club right and have some fun. 최고의 a game, pixelated fun never done.